Good morning. Today we're going to learn about the story of Julius Caesar, and you're going to have the opportunity to watch a video on Julius Caesar and then to write a short paper, about 1 page, telling me how you think Julius Caesar died. So we all know that he was assassinated by the Senate, but there's some conspiracy theories out there. So that will be this week's cultural assignment. But for now, sit back, relax, and get ready to hear the story of Julius Caesar. Okay, so we're starting during the time of the Roman Republic. Remember, after the monarchy, after the kings, came the Republic. The Republic was a time in which 2 consuls ruled together, and they shared the power. They ruled for 1 year each, which created some instability because they were constantly changing power. Caesar, many people think, was the first emperor of Rome, and that's actually false. Caesar was just a great general. So he was constantly fighting battles in faraway lands, gaining territory for Rome, protecting Rome, and when he wasn't at battle, when he was home in Rome, he was loved by the people. He would use his great wealth to pass out bread rations to the people. He gave money, and the people loved him. They would throw flowers at him as he would walk down the streets. The Roman Senate wanted complete control. They never wanted to go back to a monarchy or certainly an empire because then they would lose control. So Caesar and his great popularity really threatened them. So the Senate was not a huge fan of Caesar. So they thought, perfect, he is a great general. We will continually keep having him go off and fight all of these battles. So Caesar finally realized that he was constantly away from Rome, constantly fighting battles, and he felt like he could do more good at home. So he asked to come back to Rome, and the Senate said no. Then he got kind of ticked, and he thought, I'm Caesar, this amazing general. If I want to go back to Rome, I will. So he crossed the Rubicon River, which is called Rubicon because of the ruby red sediment on the bottom. It makes the river look red. He crossed the Rubicon River and uttered the famous words, Ilia iacta est, which means the die has been cast. As he and his hundreds of soldiers crossed that river, essentially they were declaring war on Rome because they were going against what the Roman Republic had told them. So once they crossed that river, they never could go back. They were declaring war on Rome. Have you ever made a decision and then as soon as you did it, you knew you never could go back? Maybe committing to a college or hitting submit on a big essay. Once you do that, you know you can never take it back, right? So that's what Caesar was doing as he crossed the Rubicon. He essentially was declaring war on Rome, and in particular on Pompey, who was the head of the Senate. Now, Pompey was actually Caesar's old friend, okay? Caesar's daughter was married to Pompey, so they were great friends until now. So Caesar versus Pompey, they are at war. But they don't fight in Rome. They fight in Greece. Why? Because they don't want to dirty the streets of Rome. So they go over to Greece and they fight, but it's kind of one of those battles where they both could have killed each other, but right when they get close enough, they pull away because really they are friends at heart. So Pompey goes to Egypt in hopes of getting the Egyptian prince on his side so that they can win the battle. However, as soon as he touches the shore, the Egyptian shore, the prince of Egypt kills Pompey. He not only kills him, he decapitates him. Now the word decapitate is Latin, right? De meaning off or from, caput meaning head, off with your head. So then they not only decapitate poor Pompey, but they send his head in a box to Caesar. Now when Caesar opens the box, he's not happy. He's actually really sad because Pompey was his friend. And if anyone was going to kill him, it had to be Caesar. So Caesar is ticked, and he then goes to Egypt and kills the prince. Little did he know by killing the prince of Egypt, he was actually making a great friend. the princess, who was now the queen, Cleopatra. So Caesar is in the Egyptian palace, waiting in a room by himself, and guards bring in a large carpet. It's all rolled up. The guards kick the carpet, and it unrolls, it unravels, and out pops Cleopatra. Now, people think she was gorgeous, and they think that's why Caesar loved her. False. She actually was not very attractive, but she was so smart and so cunning and witty that Caesar fell in love with her. Some say he might not have been in love with her, but he was in love with her power, and the two of them together could rule the world. Now, how do you think the Senate felt about that? This is worst case scenario. Caesar, even though he's married, has a great love affair with Cleopatra. They have a son, and Caesar does the worst thing that he could do. He brings Cleopatra and the son to Rome, and he parades them through the streets of Rome. This infuriates the Senate because their worst fear was that Caesar would gain power and become an emperor. But now their worst fear is that Caesar will become an emperor, team up with Cleopatra, and move the Roman Empire to Egypt. So the Senate feels like they have to do something. They have to do something to stop Caesar. So on the Ides of March, Caesar goes to the portico of Pompey, which is where the Senate is meeting temporarily. Months earlier, the Senate House had a fire, and the Senate House needed to be repaired. So they're meeting at a temporary spot called the portico of Pompey. On Caesar's way to this meeting, a soothsayer stops him and hands him a piece of paper that says, "Do not go any further or you will meet your death." Caesar does not only listen to this, but he dismisses his guards. He tells his guards, "Go away, I don't need you anymore." Strange. He goes to the Senate House, to the portico of Pompey, and he is stabbed multiple times by the senators. And he utters the famous words, "E tu, Brute," when his good friend Brutus stabs him. "E tu, Brute" means, even you, Brutus, even you are going to stab me? Now, many say, this is where the conspiracy comes in. Many say Caesar knew he was going to die, and he was okay with it because Caesar had epilepsy. And because in these times, epilepsy was something that would have been viewed as a huge weakness, and nobody would have allowed him to rule. So he did what cunning Caesar only could do. He essentially, maybe, you decide after you research this, he maybe orchestrated his own death. Days before he was murdered, he adopted a son, okay, Octavian Augustus. Octavian Augustus will go on to be the first emperor of Rome. So did Caesar know that he had epilepsy, couldn't be the first emperor? So he allowed himself to be assassinated in order so that he could orchestrate it, so he could essentially pick the first emperor? Interesting to think about. Now, there will be a part 2. Mark Antony, Caesar's friend, will go on to fight Octavian Augustus to see who will become the first emperor. We know Augustus will. In an interesting turn of events, Mark Antony will find an Egyptian lover to fight with him. Who do you think it is? Dun, dun, dun. Cleopatra. I guess she didn't mourn Caesar for too long. Now, in Rome today, Caesar's crypt is still there, and every single day somebody puts flowers on his grave, even today. Okay, that marks the end of our Caesar episode. You're going to watch the video link in Schoology. You're going to write a short little one-page summary of what I just taught you using the words on the board. And then write, do you think that Caesar knew he was going to die and was okay with it? Do you think it was all an accident? He had no clue he was going to die? What do you think about the assassination of Julius Caesar? Okay, thanks for tuning in. Bye.